I built this tree base in the bog in ARK Survival Ascended on Genesis Part 1, utilizing a cliff platform attached to one of the giant trees in the bog. It's just a very iconic place, even though it is quite spooky out here, but I felt like I wanted to try and build a base in a tree. And actually, recently I built my survival base, of course, on my community cluster, and I really liked the build, although it was using some mods and some different things that maybe aren't possible to replicate for tutorials. So I thought, why not try to redesign it a little bit to make it work as a normal base, so that if you guys like it, I can change it into a tutorial for you to use. Of course, utilizing a cliff platform and building into a tree does mean that some parts you won't be able to complete, like you won't be able to build the back of this base, and I'm not entirely sure how well you would be able to pull this off unofficial, of course, since the clipping settings are slightly different. But the effect of building into the side of a tree is just a really cool one, and a very fitting one, I feel like, here in the bog. Now, of course, the other part is the trees aren't necessarily the safest place to be. The Bloodstalkers are everywhere, and you will definitely need some protection to make sure you don't get picked up whilst working on your base. Hello there, survivors, and welcome back to another build showcase on my channel. Today I'm taking a closer look at this base, showing you around, seeing what cosmetics I used, etc. But if you'd like to see a full step-by-step build tutorial, let me know down in the comments below, or the video might actually already be out depending on when you're watching this. And of course, as always, if you enjoy seeing these types of videos and you want to continue to see more, make sure to like the video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and feel free to leave your suggestions for future builds you'd really like to see down in the comments below. So we are here in the bog on Genesis Part 1, and if you want to know exactly where I've built, it's right over here in the map, so kind of the center of the map, where you have a lot of these big cool trees, of course. And instead of building on some of the platforms that they are holding up, I decided to build my own platform by utilizing the largest sized cliff platform, expanding that a little bit on the outside and building a cozy building on top of it, which makes for a very nice to use base. You have, of course, a little bit of space or tames around it. You will need some way to get up here, so either the bunny with their hopping abilities, maybe the Procoptodon. I'm not quite sure if you would be able to get that high. Cosmo would work, of course, and of course the Bloodstalker here in the bog itself. There might be some other ways to get up here, but those probably are the easiest one. Or, of course, just making some grappling hooks and attaching a ladder to the side. You could alternatively, of course, work on a staircase going all the way down into the base of the tree. Actually, this specific tree kind of has a hollow inside, so you could add gateways around it so that you could have a dino pen down below in case you want to breed some bigger land creatures. You won't be able to fit on top of the platform itself. So that does give you a bunch of options. The platform itself houses a relatively sizable shape. I expanded it by 3 foundations. You could have some of the bigger structures outside if you really want to have them, you know, industrial forge, replicator, stuff like that. Or, of course, park a bunch of your tames, the creepy friends here from the bog. And other than that, we have a pretty nice sized base with a bunch of cool little features. One of the reasons I'm building here is this beautiful waterfall, kind of cut out a little bit into the platform so we can still have that going through, which definitely adds a ton of character to the place. We got a bunch of like little goods everywhere. But yeah, the platform itself, sizable, definitely some space to keep your tames. And I actually built onto stilts on top of the platform just to, well, give myself a bit more freedom, not to be limited to the shape or be tempted by the shape of the platform itself. We got a little smelting corner out here, a little bit of a parking spot for the bunnies up here, the burrow buck. You know, a little dino pen area that you can utilize here on the side of the building. And then the main building itself, I made a custom entrance. You could get rid of that and just use a dino gate if you want to be able to close it off. But since this is mostly storage, as long as your storage is locked, even if you're on a server, shouldn't really matter too much. And then we have a little crafting hall here off to the side with a decent amount of space. Of course, you kind of, depending on how exactly it fits into the tree to make this work. It will be very interesting to see how it's going to be replicating this for a tutorial, because, well, technically every time you place a platform, it's going to be slightly different. But yeah, a decent amount of space in here for some storage and crafting. And then out here we even have the market stall, of course, part of the Tides of Fortune DLC. I just love all the details on this, so I love using it as decoration. But it is quite useful, especially if you're playing on a community server. And then we have a bunch more storage here, but you could, of course, make a little workshop area here, park some small creatures, do a little bit of breeding, and whatever you need. And then we have the bounty board here on the side, again, just because it's quite nice to use as decoration. It's a really lovely looking prop, and I hope they do keep adding things like this that are actually really nice to decorate your base with. And of course, all the lights here used of the Tides of Fortune DLC 2, they are amazing. They look incredible, so I love using them. I love the vibe of them. They are really, really nice, especially the little kraken. I love that one very, very much. So yeah, that's the kind of the downstairs area. A decent amount of space, I would say. Definitely nice to utilize. But if we go up, of course, there will be way more space. We kind of have the kitchen area, more storage, etc., and a nice place to hang out right in front of the window. And then we also have a nice balcony going all the way around the entire build, and even going all the way back here with a staircase so that you can still get up and down quite easily. Basically extra access points for this layer of the build, which I think just makes it a little bit more practical to use. Then over here to the side, we kind of have the bedroom, so we have a nice spot to hang out. We have a bit more storage to store before you log out, and then we have a hammock here. You have a bit more space here for me, and the mushroom kind of poking through. I quite like that, integrating that into the base. Might not be the most practical if you need every inch of the building to make it work. And then finally, of course, we can also go all the way up to the top to get to the greenhouse, because I actually managed to get a whole greenhouse in it. It's got full efficiency as well, so you can just grow your crops here quite easily in safety. And yeah, you can get quite a few of them growing up here. We have a little balcony to enjoy the views again. But yeah, it's quite nice. And of course, using the wasteland skin from the Bob Tall Tales DLC here on the roof for the nice broken roof. I really like that as a detail. So I've used the wasteland skin from the Bob Tall Tales DLC for some of the storage containers, like these ones, like those ones, and of course the vaults. That's all the Tides of Fortune skins, so those are the official DLC skins. But then of course I've used a bunch of other skins to get this really rustic and kind of like older looking wood types, which are definitely some cosmetics that I can recommend. And pretty much everything you really need to build the base are free cosmetics. There's some premium ones that I've used, but you can easily replace those with either of those free options. So the main one I'm using, for example, for these pillars, for the floors, as well as some of these walls, is the Atlas Skins custom cosmetic, which of course just brings back the wood from Atlas. Honestly, I don't know why they didn't add this as a second official skin in the Tides of Fortune DLC. It seems kind of like a no-brainer, because it's a really nice looking texture and perfect for a pirate feeling building. Then, besides the Atlas skins, we've also used CKF cosmetic, not the mod version that you need to install on your server, but the cosmetic version. And I've only used the free tiers, so you don't need to pay anything for this. I've been using the settler tier, for example, for these wood types and these windows, as well as these railings that are kind of randomized, which is really, really nice. So definitely another cosmetic that I can recommend using. You get these lovely archers in there as well. So a ton of the CKF cosmetic has been applied here. And then besides that, I've also used the new Shanty Town skin cosmetics by Shanty, which is used for this roof, which looks really nice. Bit of the bamboo kind of vibes in there. And then I've got another roof using that right over here. Just a really nice texture. And then I've also used it for some of these pillars to get the nice rounded pillars, but in a darker look. Definitely another really nice and free custom cosmetic that can help you with these types of builds. Then the premium cosmetics that I've used are the Viking cosmetics for this kind of thatch looking roof. Of course, you could just use normal thatch or any other kind of skin to make this look differently, but I just like the textures and the added details that this cosmetic has over the normal kind of wood or thatch. I quite like the look of that. And besides that one, I've also used the Elven custom cosmetic just to change the cliff platform into this beautiful wooden version with the lights dangling down below, because I mean it just looks a lot nicer. It fits in perfectly in the magical bog here. It just looks a little bit nicer, especially those lights hanging down are a great addition to have as a base, but again, definitely not necessary for the build itself. But yeah, there we go. That is kind of the entire build, the skins used, and yeah, I definitely want to go ahead and try to make a tutorial for it. It will kind of course, especially the back part, will be a job of adjusting it to the exact tree that you're building. But technically, you could also, of course, decide to not build it in a tree at all and just replicate, I guess, the front on the back and have a nice fully built base that way. Anyway, that is going to be it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed this base. Let me know if you did. Of course, as always, I really appreciate your support. So if you liked the video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and feel free to leave your suggestions for future builds down in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.